So we're using porcini, little porks as they're called. And here's a beautiful bag of dried mushrooms. You want to be really careful when you buy them that you're buying the mushroom, like the cap itself. So they come very dried like this. So you have to reconstitute them. So what you do is you put them in a bowl until you have something like this. This is going to take about 20 minutes. You cover them with water, or you could cover them with broth until they're soft. Then you would drain off that water and you would have something like this. So now we have mushrooms that we can chop up. Because this is going to go into the risotto as we are flavoring that rice. Olive oil heating in a pan, just a couple teaspoons. And we want 1 clove of garlic in there. And then we want to add our mushrooms. Remember, these are the dried porcini that I reconstituted. So when the garlic smells fragrant, that's part of cooking, you know, when you can smell it. Then we add this. So this goes in. And we don't have to cook this very long. Maybe 3 or 4 minutes just to flavor those mushrooms, because at the end we're going to add them into our risotto. All right, now we have this cooking down nicely. And we're going to add some flat leaf Italian parsley. Not curly parsley, flat leaf. Better flavor. That's prezzemolo in Italian. So here we have a good 1.5 tablespoons of the prezzemolo. I wish you could smell this right now. It smells like the forest. I want to start with a couple tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil in a deep pot. Because as we add liquid to this rice, it's going to increase in volume. So you don't want to do this in a small pan. So get the olive oil in, and then you can either use onion. Sometimes I use leeks for this, for a milder flavor. Today we're just using 1 onion. So a small onion that you've minced up goes in. Just swirl that around for a minute, just to get it coated in the olive oil. It goes in raw. Italy is famous for doing this with rice, especially northern Italy, where you're toasting the rice first. And what you're doing is you're coating each grain of rice with that oil. And why are we doing that? So it stays separate in the cooking. So when we're finally finished with this, it's not going to come out in a clump. It's going to be creamy, flowy. They call that all'onda, on the wave. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's starting to crackle. It's starting to pop. That's at the point where you now want to add some wine. And we're going to use one of my favorite wines from the Piedmont, Arnese. Love it. So you add, about 1/4 cup of the wine to the rice. This is the classic way to make risotto. Now, I know there are new schools of thought on this, too, where people say, you can walk away. You don't need to stand there and stir the whole thing all the time. Well, yes, you could, but I prefer to see what's going on. This is where the action is. I want to stay with it. So once you have the wine mixed in, and you see how fluid this is now. You see how it's staying nice and creamy already? Then we want to start adding some broth to this. Now we're using chicken stock, chicken broth, and you want to keep it hot so you don't bring down the temperature of what's in the pan. So heat it up first. And you add, about 1 cup of the liquid, of the stock or the broth, whatever you choose to use. And again, you allow that liquid to be absorbed by the rice before you start adding the next addition. Remember the porcini? They go in. This is so delicious. I'm going to add some butter. That's going to add some creaminess to this. And risotto is always a first course, although I have been known to eat the whole pan. And then we want some grated Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, that wonderful cow's milk cheese from Emilia Romagna. And look at how fluid this is. This is what I'm telling you. This is why this is now all'onda. Looks beautiful, ready to eat.